Good morning, good morning, good morning. Greetings and good morning. It is time for Andrea's Morning Tea Chat. I want to talk this morning about pearls of harmony. You hear me talk about pearls, you hear me talk about harmony. This morning, I want to bring it all together for those who haven't been following me for the last 5 years and understand the concept behind all this tea and all these pearls is going on. So, I'm going to give you a short overview as we go through this today and just come out of understanding where I am with women and tea and pearls and why it's important to me for you to understand this concept. I speak about it some in my book, Serving from the Kettle. However, you don't always have to get there. Get the book to understand it. So let's go over some things. So, welcome, welcome. I am Andrea Merriman, your creative harmony coach and master domestic violence help coach. I bring you this morning tea chat so we can have conversation around disrupting the normalcy of domestic violence and how we can make changes against the violence that we see that happening to our women in our communities. It's not a family thing, it's a community thing, and yes, we are all involved. So many times I hear youth talking about not my monkey, not my zoo. I'm here to tell you that it is your zoo. It is your responsibility. As a human here, you have to be aware of what's going on and do something to make a change of what's going on. So this morning, I really want to talk to you about what pearls are. So I want you, for some of you, you may know what a pearl is and how it's made, but some of you may not. So I'm going to give you a brief understanding of what that is. So pearls are made out of the distress of the oyster or the mollusk that makes it happen. Distress. If it wasn't for the pain, the irritant that gets inside that mollusk, then you wouldn't be able to see the beauty of that. And I know that sounds strange to some of us, but I want you to listen to this. So, when a pearl is made, the mollusk is sitting at the bottom of the sea doing its thing, and a small irritant gets into that mollusk. And they're not like us, they can't cough it up at that time or they try to get rid of it. And so, the way they were created, and creation is so beautiful. The way the mollusk is created is when that irritant gets inside of it, it spins a nacre around it. It spins what we would call a web, but it's a nacre, and it continues to do that every time another irritant come through. Every time another wave of water or another grain of sand or something else goes through, it protects itself by spinning that nacre around that irritant. But what comes out of that is a beautiful, illuminating, radiant, endless beauty. If you hold that pearl, and it's not always perfectly round. We think that necklaces had to be perfectly round, but you will understand that they're not always that way when they're created. When it's just natural, when it comes from, and when it's not cultured. See, when they culture things, you mold it into the way you want it. But nature has not done it. Nature has allowed those pearls. Some of them are lumpy, some of them are bumpy, some of them are smooth, some of them, and just depends on how they're created. But I want you to hold a natural pearl, whether it's freshwater cultured or seawater cultured. Next time you get a real pearl, I'm not talking about the cheap ones that are plastic, a real cultured pearl, and I want you to hold it up to the light. And I want you to see that irritant is still inside of it. But then I want you to also notice the glow, the illuminating that comes from that, the beauty that comes from that pearl. So if you think of it that way, and you think of how humans react, we do the opposite. When we have an irritant that bothers us, we put up a brick wall. We put up something that's ugly. I hear people say all the time that that hurt people. But I'm here to tell you that that doesn't have to happen. Hurt people don't have to hurt people. You can make a conscious decision to make something beautiful out of that pain. If you make a conscious decision to make something beautiful out of that pain, you come out looking like the pearl. You come out looking radiant and beautiful. And so I want you to think about that. I want you to think about next time you're hurt, how do you bring that out? How do you share that pain with someone? Are you the person that's just going to say, be damned, I was hurt, I'm hurting somebody else? Or do you make the conscious decision to feel like you're going to break something beautiful of this and make yourself illuminate, make yourself do that? And the irritant is still going to be inside of you. The irritant is still going to be a piece of who you are, but it doesn't have to hurt everyone else you touch. They can see the beauty of the strength of what you've done. Pearls are one of the oldest gemstones. So this pain has been happening to these mullets for years and years. So what's happening to you has been happening for years. We're just speaking up about this domestic violence. Everybody used to say that it was something that was kept in the family. Now we're understanding it's affecting our whole community. It was the pandemic before the COVID pandemic happened. So I want you to think about it. How are you illuminating? How are you protecting yourself? Are you spinning a nakery like the mullets, or are you building a brick wall that's keeping you from moving where you need to go and keeping people from loving you the way that you deserve to be loved? So that's my concept behind the pearls. I wish that every woman would understand and be that pearl and heal themselves and work through their pain in a place that they're illuminating and beautiful. And then have a tea party. Sit around and have tea. Talk about it. Women of old would get together and talk about behind their tea. And it was a time that women came together and talked about what was going on in the communities. And you notice that the word I keep saying is talk, talk, talk. So first is to acknowledge, just like this month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So acknowledge that pain is there. Acknowledge what's happening. But then talk about plans, and then do something. So that brings you to my topic of today, the pearls of harmony. To create harmony in our lives, in ourselves, and in our communities, I propose that you use my method, which is called the Pearls Method. The Pearls Method allows you to have a step-by-step process of dealing with the pain, organizing, however you need to do that. And the first part of that is planning. When you're planning, it starts with visualizing and a dream. And we talked about that a couple days ago. If you go back and look at one of the pieces of how to visualize, but that's what planning starts with. But first, a dream. Dream, and then being able to visualize it to the point that you know what it's going to look like when you get there, and your faith continues to keep you moving through it. So you need to have a dream that's big enough for you to not only fight for, but to be able to accept the fear that comes behind that. The fear of success, the fear of failure, the fear of people looking at you sideways because they know your past. I tell people, don't look at me and don't judge what I do when you don't know my been through. People always want to judge what somebody else is doing when they don't have an idea of what they've been through. So continue to plan. First part of it is plan. Sit it down. Make your SMART goals. We all know that SMART goals are specific, they're measurable, they're obtainable, they're specific, and they're time bound. You need to be able to put time on those goals that you're putting down. When you read through my books that's coming up, I'm going to go more into details of that, but I want you to understand this process. You can see it on anything I have because I've been saying these same things for the last 5 years. I've used it in everything that I do, and I know that this technique works. So the first part is planning. Be able to put your SMART goals, your specific goals down so that you can work through that and then build up of what it looks like. So you don't just want your big goals and your big dreams. You need to have something smaller. You need to have some measurable steps along the way to keep you motivated. Learn how to make a list. Learn how to write down things you need to do. And then be able to do something every day. Every day you should be doing something that works you toward your goals, and then be able to share that with someone. Just niche it down to where if someone asks you off the cuff whether or not what you're doing, you're able to jump and give them an answer. Somebody may come to you and tell you, I need you to speak in the next 15 minutes. You should be able to say, no problem. I'm a big believer, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I remember, and may have heard this story before, but I remember when I met my good sister circle friend, Pastor Nicole. It was at her event. She met me at the door. We hadn't spoke. We talked about where I went to church, what we did, why she was having this women's conference. She listened to my story. I told her what I did. I told her about creating the Jennifer Merriman H.E.L.P program and how it offers hope, empowerment, life skills, and prevention methods to women from their youth up. We had that conversation. She pulled her assistant over, told her to cut one of the times that they had, if she could, some of her time short, and give me 15 minutes to speak. See, I went in to receive, but God made it fit for me to share. And that's part of being ready. See, I didn't have to go, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. I don't know what to say, because I already knew and I was clear with what I was doing. So I did that. I recouped some people, some connections, spoke out to some churches and all the women that were there. And then she and I have had a lasting relationship since then. So I want you to, when you do your planning, be able to be clear with what you're planning. So when you get to the rest of the pieces that we're going to talk about, then I need you to have that part of your foundation, building your foundation ready. Whether you're an advocate, servant leader, minister, however you're doing your mission, the first part of your planning needs to be rock solid. Does that mean you can't come back in it and tweak it and change it? No, but that part needs to be rock solid. And so that's all I wanted to talk about today is planning. We'll get into the rest of the pieces the rest of the week. Remember, if you have not already purchased your ticket for Girl It's Your Life Tour, it's only $19.99. Please go to bit.ly/GIWGIYL Andrea and get your ticket. It's 5 days for less than $20. That's less than going out to eat. You're going to meet some phenomenal women from across the globe. There's women from 2 countries going to be there. So I want you to go in and be a part of this tour. You can receive it right here on your computer, phone, because they're streaming just for you. So thank you for joining me today. Until we meet again, I do hope that you have peace, harmony, and happiness in your life. Until tomorrow, bye for now.